Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, A Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means a pearl or gem from one book. Today, I'm going to read two chapters from the book of Job in the Bible. Job was one of the greatest devotees of God. That's the reason I'm going to read these two chapters about him, and then I'm going to talk about his attitude. The reason why I've chosen these two chapters is that we all face problems, sorrow, pain, difficulty, disaster in our lives. No one is immune to these things. No one can escape these problems. So when we confront these problems, what should our attitude be towards these difficulties? Should we complain and blame, or should we still remain grateful to God? So that's what we'll try to learn from what I'm going to read. So let me first read the two chapters, and then I'll discuss the attitude of Job and how he handled his trouble. Now, the pronunciation of Job here in the Bible is Job because it's a name, it's a Hebrew name. So it's Job, and it should not be pronounced Job, although earlier, several years ago, I used to pronounce his name as Job. But I listened to some sermons of preachers from the West, and I noticed that they used to pronounce the name as Job. So Job seems to be the right pronunciation. So let me read the two chapters. Now remember Carlyle, the great English writer, used to say that this is one of the greatest works of literature, the book of Job. And I think there is a book on handling pain and sorrow in which this book has been described in detail. When bad things happen to good people, I think. It's written by a rabbi. I read it several years ago, almost a decade ago, or more than a decade, I think. It was a very nice book. So let me read now. I'm reading from this New International Version of the Holy Bible. In the land of Uz, in the land of Uz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys, and had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East. So he was one of the greatest men of his time. His sons used to take turns holding feasts in their homes, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When a period of feasting had run its course, Job would send and have them purified. Early in the morning, he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular custom. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming through the earth and going back and forth in it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Does Job fear God for nothing?" Now Satan is trying to, test this person Job. So he's trying to ask God whether he can do that. So we'll come to that in a moment. "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied, "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well then, everything he has is in your hands, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." That is, don't kill Job, but you can do anything else to test him. Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. One day, when Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, and the Sabians attacked and carried them off. Now, these are some tribes of those times, I think. The Sabians attacked and carried them off. They put the servants to the sword, that is, killed them. And I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, the fire of God fell from the sky and burned up the sheep and the servants, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, the Chaldeans, now I don't know if it's Chaldeans or Chaldeans, I'm just assuming that that's the pronunciation. The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down on your camels and carried them off. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, yet another messenger came and said, your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on them, and they are dead. And I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. At this, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. So he didn't blame God for that. The second chapter, it's a very small one. On another day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them to present himself before him. And the Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? Satan answered the Lord, from roaming through the earth and going back and forth in it. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil, and he still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason. And Satan is trying to see whether he could test Job further. Skin for skin, Satan replied. A man will give all he has for his own life, but stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to your face. The Lord said to Satan, very well then, he is in your hands, but you must spare his life. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and afflicted Job with painful sores, that is, wounds or boils. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and afflicted Job with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. Then Job took a piece of broken pottery and scraped himself with it as he sat among the ashes. His wife said to him, are you still holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die. I mean, she was very harsh actually. He replied, you are talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? In all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Let me repeat this last part. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? In all this, Job did not sin in what he said. So this is what I wanted to read. So let's just briefly discuss the attitude of Job. So when you analyze the story, you'll see that the troubles he faced can be categorized under these headings, or maybe under these different categories. I mean, we can put them in these different categories. So he had material loss. He had to face loss of family members, and he had to lose his health as well. So there was physical pain, there was emotional pain, and there was this pain of being poor and having lost one's belongings, one's wealth and property. So usually our problems also can be categorized under these heads, right? I mean, we have material losses, and we feel some difficulty and trouble because of our material situation. Then we sometimes lose our family members, and so we feel this emotional pain. And then we have this physical pain. So, I mean, Job had to face a terrible pain. So he was inflicted with sores or wounds or boils from the sole of his feet to the top or the crown of his head. So that was a terrible situation. And still he maintained his integrity, and he had only praise for God. So let's see what the words of Job were. So one thing he said is this: the Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. So everything that we have in this world has been given to us. I mean, the body that came into this earth, again, we might say that we have developed our bodies and mind and intellect. That's fine, but for that we had to have some kind of material, right? All these materials, all these laws of growth are the gift of God. Even the laws of growth, I'm saying. For example, if someone says, I develop myself, I develop my body, I develop my mind, I develop my ability to speak, and that is fine. But who provided this law of development? So now practice makes perfect, or we never reach perfection. But let's say someone says, practice, I practiced it, and therefore I take the responsibility for it, or I take the praise for it, or there's a word for it, I'm just trying to recall. So I take the credit for it. But who created this law that, if you practice, you become perfect, or if you work hard, you succeed? That law is already there in the universe. So we should be grateful for the laws that exist. So there is nothing in the world that we can really detach from the power of God. So we have laws that work for us. We have the material world already provided around us. So we need to be grateful to God. So there is nothing that we have brought here, nothing we are going to take away, except the fact that our good actions, that's alone we are going to take. The good actions, good words, good thoughts. So these are the things that we use in the world. That is, all the things have been given to us. The laws that work for us or work against us, and the material world around us, including our physical body. So all these we use, and then we get, praise or curse from God. That is, we'll be punished or will be rewarded for our deeds. And deeds can be categorized under these heads, right? Our thoughts, our words, and our bodily physical actions. All these are deeds. So the only thing we can really say is ours is deeds, just our actions. And even in that, Job maintained his integrity. So he had nothing bad to say about God. The second thing he says is, may the name of the Lord be praised. So we keep praising God, and we praise him by praising his name. That's why in all religions there is a great significance attached to praising the name of the Lord. And even just repeating the name, because we have so much regard and we value the name of the Lord, we just repeat his name so that that way we benefit ourselves as well, and we have this respect and regard for that name. That's why we repeat his name. So the name of the Lord should be praised in all situations and all circumstances. And the final thing he says is, shall we accept good from God and not trouble? So, as I said, everything is God-given in this universe. So some people might object to this, but even problems are somehow allowed by God. I mean, God may have not influenced the deed, but he allows certain things to happen to us. Because if we believe that God is omnipotent and all-powerful, then that means if something bad happens to us, God must have allowed that. I mean, he may not have been the cause of it, or he might not have caused that event, but he allows these to test his devotees. That's how we know, right, whether we are true devotees of God. I mean, if everything is going right and someone says, I'm a devotee of God, then how does he himself or how do others test that fact or test that belief of that person? So some calamity has to strike in order to bring out the real devotion, or bring out the real character of ours, to test our character. I think there is a saying, right, the crucible for silver, or something like that, where you test silver or test gold, with fire or whatever the method may be. So you have the touchstone for gold. So there are different ways of testing the purity of gold and silver. So they have to go through fire, or they need to be made to go through that difficult process in order for them to show their true quality. Similarly, we have, anyone who claims to be a devotee should go through some pain, trouble, in order to really test his own devotion. So I think that's what I wanted to convey in this short video. that when pain and trouble surround us and confront us and try to destroy our peace of mind, just remember the story of Job. And very few people face the kind of pain that Job faced. I mean, he lost his children, he lost his property, he lost his health, and within just a few days or maybe within a few hours, right? I mean, all these things happened together. Yeah, the health part came later. I mean, he had to face these physical problems later on, but initially he had this mental and emotional pain, and after that the physical pain. So these things can destroy any person. I mean, destroy his mind and peace of mind, and any human being can crumble under these pressures. But Job did not. So let me recapitulate. So when trouble struck Job, he remained a great devotee. So he said, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away." And he also said that the name of the Lord should be praised, and he believed that we should accept trouble from God as we accept good from Him as well. It doesn't mean that we don't take action to remove the problems that can be removed, but we need to still consider the fact that troubles also are somehow a way of testing our devotion. So we shouldn't blame and complain when troubles strike us. Thanks for watching this video.